What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Nonsense FC, episode 7. I'm actually proud of ourselves. This is our, I want to say,
Second win
second win in
in
the
the
week
week.
for the first time.
No.
Happy
Let's go
Friday,
good.
y'all. For those of you watching Friday on your way to work, on your way back home, wherever you guys are at, what's up? Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I just want to say I was right. I told you there was going to be one surprise. I got it wrong. I got the surprise wrong, but I knew one team was going to lose.
Did, because you're such a U.S. supporter, did you expect the upset to be Jamaica, or did you think Jamaica was really that good?
I thought not that I thought Jamaica was really that good, but I thought they had the potential to be that good. They're at least attacking wise. I knew that their midfield and their defense wasn't the best, but I was like, maybe their attackers will like carry the game for them. And they just didn't have it in them. They just kind of blew it, I think.
Yeah, let's get into the first semifinal game where Mexico beat Jamaica 2-0. Um,
I'm doing I'm not telling you people.
oh,
I'm doing what the background is doing.
um, I'll give you my thoughts. I don't think Mexico has yet to showcase a dominant game.
Not at all, I think.
What
And
I
that's
will
something.
say
Remember,
is that
remember I kept go
we
ahead,
did
go no, go ahead.
we did play Jamaica recently at Azteca and we tied.
Yes, you did.
So I want to say that Jimmy has taken a very low team to perform. And you can tell in some of the plays and the build-ups. I want to say the goal against Jamaica. I want to say the first one.
The first one was Henry Martin, which honestly I thought he I feel
Uh,
like you're a striker.
but
He
the
like
build,
he
the
controls
build-up,
he
the
controls
build-up to
oh, the
it was
buildup was nice. Yeah, the
a
buildup
lot of
was nice.
triangle movement. Gallardo
But
gets
the
the ball, crosses it in.
and then Henry Martin,
I will say this: when Henry Martin grabbed the ball, touched it, I was like, "This is going wide."
yeah. Well, first of all, I was like, you're coming in by yourself. Why you ain't just hit it first time? You know what I mean? Like, you're a
It was
striker, bro.
on his left. It was on his left foot, man.
I know that, but you're a forward. Your job is just to push the ball in. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like he was like a mile away from the goal. He was literally probably where the PK is, or maybe even closer. I'm not gonna lie.
I want to say he was like at the 6.
Right. And like he's coming at an angle where like it was perfect to just like, like hit it in with pace. Like, like you just put your foot on it and it's going in.
Yeah,
He takes a touch, and I think the touch was horrible, bro. Like the ball gets away from him,
I thought it
you
was bad
know.
touch. I thought it was a bad
It
touch.
was a bad touch, right? Like kudos to him for making the goal, but I feel like his his technique on it looked poor. Like, like yes, he got the goal, but the technique on it looked pretty bad.
Yeah, and for the most part in the first half, just staying on Henry Martin, he did really well holding up the ball, coming
Yeah,
down.
finally. Yeah, he finally played his role, I think.
Yeah. So for the first half, he did really well. In the second half, he started off a little bit slow and then he came off as a sub. But I will say it has been the best game of Henry Martin in this
I'll give him that. Yeah, I'll give him that. I'll give him
uh,
that. And for the people who don't know, Jamaica lost 2-0, right? If I'm
I
not
think I
missing
mentioned that.
anything. Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Second goal, that was just a golazo. I ain't even gonna lie. That man's left. They were saying that obviously he doesn't make every shot he takes, but like 1 out of 10 is almost going in. And I think that's pretty good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously you can't make every free kick, right? Like if not,
I want to say he had a lot of free kicks in this tournament, and he's probably going to have more in the final versus Panama, but they're always around the goal.
yeah, I mean he's never like far off the mark. Yeah.
Yeah, like
He's
he's
pretty
touching the
he's
side
pretty
net, the top of
consistent.
the net.
Like, yeah, but he's pretty consistent in the area that he puts the ball at. He has a very educated foot, I'll tell you that. Although he's been one of the players that I feel like has underperformed. Like he'll have a good game and then he'll have a very like just mediocre game where I'm like, man, he's not even giving a good pass.
I think he's been the player that has kept Mexico tight and compressed.
You think so? You know what I did notice about this game? This is another thing that I wanted to bring up actually. Edson Alvarez came off the bench like in the 80th minute. I was like, why is he not starting?
He picked up like a growing injury,
Oh,
so he
okay.
wasn't 100%. And then
Okay.
at
Okay.
2-0, I think Jimmy Lozano was like, "I'm gonna try to slow down the game," but it looked very sloppy when Mexico made the subs because they were like from the 70th to the 90th.
Mhm.
You really can't catch up to the tempo because at that point Jamaica was trying to get a goal in.
Yeah, they were trying to get back in the game.
They were trying to
Yeah,
get back
so
in
I
the
feel like
game.
you had to come into the game prepared to like,
Yeah,
for the up tempo kind of like it's not like when you first start and you're like feeling out the team, you're like the pressure is just on at this point, right? And it's hard to just come in and like just adapt to that.
yeah. So I think those subs, including Edson Alvarez, they came in. It was pretty slow, missing a lot of passes, not receiving or making decisions correctly. But Mexico pulled it off. I won't say that they got lucky or I mean it wasn't a boring game compared to the quarterfinals, but I was content with what I saw going into the final and what could be Jimmy Lozano as a head coach moving forward to at least Copa America.
Yeah, I think they have a very good opportunity to win the tournament. Most probably obviously they're the favorites coming into this game.
I want to give you some Twitter statements
Okay,
regarding some of the players, and I want to see how you feel about this.
okay.
Gallardo has played how Gallardo plays on the national level since Russia. How do you feel about that statement?
I don't really understand what that means though. Like he's
That,
just been
that
consistently the same ever since
that's just what I no like. He's performing at the level that he showed at
in
Russia.
the Russian World Cup.
Yeah.
Uh,
Do you think he's the left back for the Mexico national team, or do you
I
think
mean,
I was there?
I think yes, but not because he's like performing amazingly or anything. I don't see who would come in there and take his spot. Um,
So you would
maybe
you would compare
Araujo could come in, but like he's not. Me and you have discussed this, and I don't even think he's that good, anyways.
there. I mean, there's players like I like Chiquete from Chivas. He gets
I'm not too
up the
familiar with
line, but
him.
he's the thing with Chivas is they play with a back line of five, three center backs, two
And then
full,
the two wing backs.
yeah, two wing backs. Um, which kind of makes it difficult for him to transition into that position at Selección. I'm just saying that that's a player that can, step on his heels and give him some pressure as far as keeping
Yeah,
position.
and speaking about that, like I feel like that's one thing that Mexico lacks. And it's something that you guys like to play a lot is like a lot of centers and crosses into the box. And I feel like the wing backs or the right back or the left back, right? Like you don't have one that really like, steps up and like takes control of that, right? Like you don't have like a Benjamin Pavard or Kimmich or like somebody who's like, man, like they do their job very, very well. Like it's just like you guys sometimes they have a good game, sometimes they don't. It's just like very inconsistent.
Which is a good transition to my next statement that I saw on Twitter. The best
Uh,
player for Mexico at the Gold Cup has been Jorge Sanchez.
the
The right back from Ajax.
the one from Ajax.
Yeah, Jorge Sanchez.
I was getting confused with Eric Sanchez. That's why,
No, no,
and
no,
I'm
no.
like, I'll say this, and I know you don't like him. I personally don't think he's that bad. Like I don't.
I
Not to
just
say
personally
that.
think that there's more quality in that position.
I don't believe there's more quality in that position. And I think that's why he plays defensively. I think he plays probably the best out of the pool selection. Like, and the one thing that we agreed on was like he's good at recovering even when he makes a mistake. There was like for instance, in the USA game, he got beat by pure speed. I don't think you can really do anything about that, right? Like if you're not fast enough, you're not fast enough. There's nothing you can really do about that. And he got scored on one time. Remember, cross the ball and Pulisic kind of just pushes the ball in, but that was because he's just not quick enough to keep up, right? As far as him crossing the ball, though, and again, we go back to the same thing where I'm like, Mexico loves to play a lot of crosses into the box. I don't believe he has mastered that yet, right? Like most of the time, these guys give like these like lob crosses where it's like, even if your forward gets a header on it, it's like there's no power involved. Like, how are you gonna beat the goalie when like you like float the ball in? Like, and I've said this countless times, like you have to hit that ball with some pace in there.
Yeah.
So that you know, like they just touch it and it
connect.
Yeah, kind of like it's just common sense. But I would say no though. Compared to that statement, I think Edson Alvarez has performed the best in the whole national team. When I watch Mexico play, I feel like I see him everywhere. He's just like he's recovering the ball. He's checking in for the ball. He's stopping an attacking play. I think he's the most complete player on that team, and he's the one who shows the most grit on that team as well. Then I'd go down to Chavez. I think he's probably been the second player to perform the best, and then maybe actually, and I lied. I think Ochoa, even at his old age, has been just, you know, he's been as solid as you can ask for him, right? And I don't see any mistakes that I'm like, he can't be on the national team. I know a lot of people give him a lot of hate, and I've always said that he only gets scored on when there's nothing he could do. Like, it's just like, it's a great goal. Like, what do you want him to do at that point, right? So I would throw him out there as well as one of the players that has performed the most consistent. And then I would throw in Jorge Sanchez. I would say he's probably fourth out of all the team.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think?
I would say Chavez, Edson, 1 and 2.
Okay.
Then at 3, I would say Orbelin Pineda. And then at 4, I will probably go Gallardo.
You know, speaking about Orbelin Pineda, Diego Lainez came in the game like in the 90th minute, and I was like, he on the team? Like, why hasn't he even played like a minute or two? I was so surprised to just see him on the bench, and I was like, my man's career is down bad. Like, you were in Europe, then you go to Tigres, you don't even play at Tigres. You're on the national team, and like you're making a 2-minute cameo. Like, it's tough times for him.
It kind of is tough times for Diego Lainez, but I will say this: he did finish the season with Tigres very well, coming off the bench.
I mean, well, yeah, they won the championship, yeah, and he was.
Yeah,
I want to say he was involved in a lot of the games, a lot of the goals. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, it's terrible to see him just be like a bench player and to be given 3-4 minutes in the game, right? Like,
yeah,
like
I'm gonna sound like an American pundit right now. Diego Lainez comes into Tigres with Diego Coca, and then they have 3 head coaches after that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, yeah, it's just terrible for him. Terrible for him. Terrible timing, I guess.
Bad luck, like Pulisic at Chelsea last year. Four coaches, can't get healthy, doesn't get no playing time.
You bring in all these other players and all that.
Yeah. It's very similar. I will say that he might be getting a lot more
playtime now.
Yeah, if Jimmy Lozano stays, or if there's a Mexican head coach that stays at Selección.
Possibly, I guess. I think he needs to perform at Tigres as well. But the reason why I bring him up is because I don't think Pineda has been playing that well. Like, I feel like he's been pretty consistent, but he hasn't been like a huge factor for me. Like at no point do I feel like he's like, this guy's dangerous when he gets the ball, you know? Like
Correct.
that's not how I feel about him. I feel like he's just a very technical player and like doesn't take too many risks. He knows what he should be doing and he does that. But he doesn't excite me, to as a viewer to watch.
I think if you can play Edson Alvarez, Chavez, and Orbelin Pineda in the midfield, you'll see a little bit of more creativity and him being more dangerous offensively.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we've seen that because you have other roles that Jimmy's probably asking of different players like Eric Sanchez, Luis Sanchez, and Luis Chavez, and Orbelin. Eric's
Yeah.
a bit more. Do you remember Chapito Montes from León? He broke his leg right before the Brazil World Cup against Ecuador in the friendly.
I think so. I kind of vaguely remember him, I think.
Similar style of play, except Chapito Montes was a lot more offensive, more dynamic. But I think we can see a little bit more of offensive, dangerous plays from Orbelin in the final, especially because Panama plays with two pivots in Godoy and the guy from Houston Dynamo with the
Dynamo. Yeah, he's been having a hell of a tournament. I'll tell you
that. Hell of a player. So speaking of Panama, you called the upset, so you started off, brother.
I will say, I was glad to see Brandon Vasquez and Cowell start for the USA. I was very happy to see that. Unfortunately, it wasn't their game. 30 seconds of the game, they almost scored a goal. I was like, damn, if they would have scored that, like, it just puts away all the criticism, right? Unfortunately, they didn't get it done. Ferreira stayed on for 120 minutes. It took him 105 to get a goal. What I don't understand about Ferreira is like, if he's such a talented player, why is it that you're moving him around always in the field, right? Like
trying to find him a position where he fits. And I've yet to see a place where I'm like, man, he's shining in that position, right? Yes, he gets a goal, right? He gets a good goal. I'm not gonna deny that. But he wasn't a factor at all in the game until he gets that goal. Like, he did miss a clear goal in regular time as well. He puts it wide. But I just didn't see, like, for instance, when Cowell plays, like, he takes the ball, he takes on players, and like he produces attacks, right? But I don't see that from Ferreira, and I'm just like, I still don't understand like why he's the untouchable man on that team. I don't understand that. But going back to Panama, I feel like Panama played a very disciplined game. They knew exactly what they needed to do, right? Like, they kept a lot of possession of the ball as well, so they kind of took possession away from the USA. They did look dangerous at times. I will say USA probably looked the most dangerous, right? They came and they looked like they were going to score the most of the times compared to Panama. But I think Panama just stuck to their game plan and it worked out for them, And USA stuck with their game plan, which I feel like I've been saying it doesn't really work. I don't understand what the coaches are doing, with the Pereira thing. Then you bring on the same subs as always, right? And they don't give you results, and then you lose in PKs. Did I expect USA to win this tournament? Absolutely not, because I just felt like the team. But did you beat Panama?
Did I expect them to beat Panama? I had said yes, but I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Panama wins.
That's a statement that was made in the last.
I wonder what happens now, though, because now BJ has to give up the head coach job back to Greg Berhalter. He's probably going to bring on the same players. I hope he doesn't make a mess of the A team. I would say this is probably, you're right, this is probably the C team, in the sense that the A team has subs that would that are still fighting. Like Ricardo Pepi is a sub, right, on the A team, so
Correct.
he could easily be like the B team, right? Although I think he should be on the A team, but um,
So
I don't know.
because you just mentioned where the US goes from here, I'm gonna take the more positive approach to dissecting this roster and what happened. I think we all know. Okay, there's your average fan, your casual fan, and then there's us, who no matter what will watch a soccer game
Just to watch and just
just to
analyze
watch, bro.
things.
Like we can probably go to a high school game and enjoy it because we love the sport, right? But then there's
Yeah,
your average who watches just their teams or their league, right? And then there's your casual who read the headlines, who go on Twitter and go with what they say. That being said, you and I both know that this MLS roster with a few second division European players like
yeah. I
Busio.
think the only main factor on that team was probably Matt Turner. I think
Yeah, Matt Turner and Busio. Oh, well, I'll get into that in a bit, but
Busio showed that he deserves to be on the A team. I'll tell you that
yeah, for sure.
easily.
As well as Sands. I think Sands did a very good job throughout the entire tournament, and him and Busio were the only players that I thought did very well against
Well,
Panama.
actually, well, okay. I would say though, I still want to bring up Brandon Vasquez and Cowell from that team as well because I
Okay.
feel like they're young and they have so much potential. Those are the two players that I see having potential. Ferreira, he's the one player that I'm like, I don't see the potential yet, right? But bring him on, I guess. Bring him on if you must,
let's
But
not get too ahead of where I'm going, where I'm headed.
okay.
I'm gonna give you the roster really quickly, and then I want you to give me whose stock dropped, leveled up,
Okay. And who leveled up?
who
Okay.
you who you don't want to see anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so in goal we have Matt Turner, Sean Johnson, and Gabriel Slonania or
Well, I
something.
mean, but I didn't see any of them except Matt Turner. So I mean,
So
obviously Matt Turner was probably he played very well, I think.
yeah, I
Um,
mean,
he
and
did what he can.
and,
I
and
would I would say he's like Ochoa though. He needs to learn how to work with his feet. I feel like
oh,
his footwork,
definitely.
you know what I mean? Like I get nervous when he
Timing,
touches the ball with his feet.
that
Yeah.
goal that Panama scored, I think he should have stayed in the box a little longer.
Yeah, he should have. He should have. I feel like, and he came out and I'm like, cover the ball with your just body, bro. Why would you try to kick the ball? Like,
Yeah,
like just jump and cover the ball, right? And like hopefully he touches it and it stays on you. I'm like, this is a dumb goal, bro. That was just kind of dumb.
yeah,
But
just bad timing on Turner's part. But then we move on to the defense where we had DeAndre Yedlin, Aaron Long, Matt Miazga, Brian Reynolds, Miles Robinson, DeJuan Jones, and Jalen Neal.
yeah.
Out of the defenders, did you see something that you liked, or do you just not want to see any of these players ever again?
The right back was the one that played. He played for Roma, or he plays for Roma. I thought he was okay, and then once he gets tired, I was like, you need to sub him out. Like he's just falling apart. Juan, he played good. I think he was pretty consistent defensively. He had that nice center for Brandon Vasquez, so they could win that one game. Matt Miazga, I feel like commits dumb fouls and like he tries to like fight with like the smallest players on the field. And I'm like, you're not even that good, bro. Like, relax.
He was actually trending on Twitter for that.
I know, yeah, like just like he's
Like
always picking on a small guy.
you find the smallest person on the field and you just want to bully him.
If I was somebody on the field though, I'd run his ass over like so easily, right? Like I'd be like, I'm gonna give you a 50-50 and I'm gonna crack you this time, right? But
Yeah, I don't know if you remember the 50-50 challenge where Zlatan Ibrahimovic went up against Materazzi. It was AC Milan versus Inter Milan. Balls in the air and Zlatan just straight to like his midsection.
Yeah, I think I do remember. Yeah, like like
those pink superflies you like.
Yeah, Yeah, I think I do remember. He was like, "Oh, you want to go?" He kind of like
Yeah,
backs into him with the elbow. Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, but
that,
yeah,
that
like if you
yeah,
if you want to pretend like you're the aggressor, right? Oh, I'll show you aggression. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
He
Aaron
probably
Long,
he
we've
probably
said
gave.
it.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Aaron Long, nowhere near the world the A team. I
That-
just Miles Robinson could fit in if he could tie his hands behind his back because I'm tired of him giving up handballs everywhere. Other than that, he's a very solid player, but like he just the handballs, like, come on, man. Like, this is your one job. Put your hands away.
I would say that Miles Robinson is going to be an 18 player, just because we got to remember that he's coming off of an Achilles injury where he's probably still thinking or second guessing his body a little bit. So
But he's not, I feel like defensively, he's great. He's like very physical, he's smart, right? It's just his hands, like, like that's the only issue the whole tournament I had with him was like you gave up almost 2 penalties or 3 penalties.
he's a player that if you send to Europe
He
would
could do well, I think.
and get way better.
Yeah, easily.
Get
Yeah.
way
How
better.
old is he? That's what I don't know. I don't know how
I'd
old
be
he
like
is.
23, 24.
Oh, okay, he's young. He's young.
Let me pull him up real quick. I can pull him up. My
Um.
since 26.
Oh, I mean, Tim
26.
Ream. Yeah, Tim Ream is like 36, so he got time. He got time to get better.
Might as well throw him in at Fulham. And
Might
okay,
as well.
in the midfield you have Busio,
Who
Alan
performed
Zamora.
excellent? Yeah,
I thought Busio did really well this tournament.
amazing. Yeah, yeah, he did.
I think the midfield is stacked because you have Joe Reyna, McKennie, Adams, Musa, and then you can possibly throw in Busio and Sands in the mix. But you're
And you
just
have Luca de la Torre.
Luca de la Torre. Yep, exactly.
You
Like
have the
there's a
guy
lot of
from Flamingo. I forget his name. The Brazilian guy,
yeah, who
Johnny
hasn't
or
really
something like that.
gotten a lot of playing time, but
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't. But
he,
like the midfield is stacked, so it's like it's gonna be hard for him to walk onto that. Break into that role unless he has like a killer season
I mean,
somewhere,
you
right?
can just use an extra position by just not calling up Ferreira.
Yeah. I mean, you
Just give that to him.
realistically, I would prefer to use Busio as a false nine, right? Than Ferreira. I think he has more of the playmaking skills than Ferreira does. But that's just
Yeah,
me. Um,
sure. And he plays it. I want to say he still plays in Italy, but
yeah, he plays for Venezia.
yeah, he has
Venezia.
European experience.
Yeah, he's in the second division now, but I mean, but he did play in the top flight for a
Yeah,
while. So
he's doing well. And then we'll go up top, I guess, with actually there's a midfielder that I missed. Roldan, Mihalovic, Aiden Morris, Zendejas, and Gressel.
Gristle was terrible. I'll tell you that right now.
He
Gristle
missed
was
his opportunity,
terrible.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't feel like he was good at anything. He was like just there. Like, like I don't feel like he did anything that I was like, man, that was a good play. Um, I will say about Zendejas too, I feel like he's playing with a bunch of players that like are not up to speed. And so
Out of
when
position.
he's playing out of position, and I said, um, he's the most disciplined on the ball. Like he hardly gives up the ball. Does he take on? I would love to see him take on more players, but I feel like he played very disciplined. So I don't know if that was like a coach thing, right? Like a tactical thing, like try to hold on to the ball, don't lose it, try not to be too risky, or if that's just a style of play. I definitely don't want to see him play on the left side either, though. Remember, I wanted him to play on the right side.
Mhm.
Same with you. I would still bring him. I know he got a lot of criticism, but I still think that he can fit a role, and especially if you put him more as a forward than a midfielder. I would like to still see him on the 18. What's the guy's name? Milkovic or something like that.
Vukovic.
He played good. Yeah, he played pretty decent actually. He was I feel like he was like pretty box to box. Well, Will he beat anybody on the 18 for a position? Absolutely not, probably. But he is a player that I would be like, I wouldn't mind if you guys bring him on or don't bring him on, right? Like he performed well.
There's a lot of players. Well, there's a handful of players from this team, and I'm gonna exclude Turner because he's gonna be the starting goalkeeper regardless.
Yeah.
But there's a handful of players that I see coming in to a camp and upping the competitive level.
Yeah, which is what you want.
Which is what you want.
And it goes back to that whole Pepe thing where he was like, I didn't want to bring Pepe or I didn't want to bring Zach Stefan because I didn't want the competition, which is like, that has to be the dumbest statement I've ever heard in my life. Like, so you're saying you don't want to your players to compete for a position and try better? Like, so you just want them to be like, oh, okay, I know this is my position. I don't have to work for it.
I mean, at that point, you might as well say Matt Turner's my favorite goalkeeper, and if I bring you in, I'm just wasting your time.
Yeah, like you're just gonna be on the bench. But like that just has to be the dumbest statement. But yeah, you bring on the best players, so they bring competition and everybody's fighting for their spot, right? Like you don't want to just give the positions because you're like, oh, you perform well at club level, so you have to be a starter over here, right? Like that's not how it works. It's like,
yeah,
you come to the national team and you show me why you deserve the starting position.
And one thing that I failed to mention right now is for our average viewing audience, US lost in semis to Panama. But
Yes.
you guys have to understand that this was a C or D team.
Yeah,
not
it wasn't their
B,
yeah.
right? You have Chris Richardson's from Palace who went to Nations League. A bunch of players from Europe came to Nations League, didn't stay because of a lot of obvious reasons. Pulisic was still at Chelsea trying to find a team. Tim Weah was trying to find a team. McKennie is now trying to find a team.
Yep.
Gio Reyna is trying to get on the starting roster for Dortmund. Serginho Dest is at Barcelona.
Fighting for a position.
So there's a lot of things. Tim Ream had a broken arm or hand, so he wasn't available. So it's these little things that caused for US soccer to be like, okay, they need a break, figure out what they're doing with their career, and we're gonna go in with this Gold Cup with MLS players who have, I believe, 16 or 18 games into the season. Right? That's preseason plus regular season. And now they're gonna go into Leagues Cup versus Liga MX teams. So I just want to make that point clear. Who don't you want to see back from this Gold Cup roster?
I don't want to see Jordan Morris. I feel like you gave what you got, like your level of play is not going up, and you're not going to come on and take anybody's position, and you're not going to be a difference maker. I honestly don't need to see you on the national team. Like I know what you gave. Thank you for your contribution and good luck in your career from moving forward. Same with the other guy, the one I told you, the one who played right winger against
Gristle?
Yeah, Gristle. Thank you for your contribution. You don't make the cut. You don't make the cut. Same with Aaron Long, same with Matt Miazga. You guys don't make the cut. Like, I'm sorry to tell, but this isn't recreational soccer. This is competitive, and you're here, and the bar is up here. So you gotta go. You gotta go. I do want to switch to Panama though, because they are in the final, and I think they have the potential to win the game if they stick to their game plan, unlike Jamaica. But I will say, who do you think this tournament means more to? I personally think it means a lot more for Mexico. Like, Mexico is coming off a bunch of losses to the USA. They haven't been able to win anything in a very long time. They're going through a lot of head coaching changes. I think they desperately need to win this cup.
Oh, I'm gonna bring up some history. Here's a history lesson, kids. Panama wants to destroy Mexico. Do you remember in the Gold Cup when they gave the game to Mexico? Piojo Herrera was a coach. They marked some handballs in the box.
I can vaguely remember.
Mexico ends up winning. So that's the last time that Panama
Made it to the final.
made it to a final, I think.
It was like 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But to answer your question, Mexico needs to win this Gold Cup.
Yeah, I think they need to, for their fans, for the federation. They desperately need a win.
Just internally.
Yeah.
This is the same roster that played Nations League. And like we mentioned earlier, you can see the progression and the chemistry.
Yeah, they've been growing together. Yeah.
Winning this tournament to them is gonna be like, okay, Jimmy is the man. We support this style of play. We would like him to stay. And then obviously the fuera de cancha with the fans and the federation, clubs.
Yeah, I think it makes them happy. You know, they have a coach that won them a tournament. You know, it brings some confidence back into the team. So it's a win-win for everybody if they were to get the championship.
Correct. And to speak, I mean, I don't want to speak too much on Mexico because we did that already, but Panama, who do you think needs to show up and what do you think they need to do to pull it off?
The man in your background right there. He needs to have a stellar game. I'll tell you that. Yeah, and he's actually been the most disciplined player on that team. I feel like when I see him play, he reminds me of a player in Europe, you know, like just discipline on the ball, never looks like worried about anything. He actually gets up pretty good as well. Like, you know, he'll take the ball and drive it into the middle sometimes. And I'm like, man, he's making good runs. Opens up the style of play.
Is his name Waterman?
Nah, man, let me forget his name too.
What number is he? Just move your shoulder, fool.
Oh, this guy? No. This guy?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the guy on your screen. Why? Yeah,
Oh,
Waterman. Yeah, I said the one on your screen.
Carrasquilla.
What's his name?
Carrasquilla from Houston.
Yeah, Carrasquilla. Yes. Yeah, Carrasquilla needs to have a great game. I feel like he has to have the best game. He's like the dictator of the team. He's the one who controls the game. They have another guy. What's his name? I'll say right now. Farhado, I think, or if maybe it's either Farhado or Diaz.
Yep.
They need to have a good game. I feel like they need to score a goal quick and early. I think if they want to win this game,
you know because is underrated on their squad, but does very well. Barcenas, number 10.
Hey, the right back? Is he right back?
He's a winger.
But I feel like he was playing a lot of defense as well.
Well,
but they
play 3-4-3.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he was playing really well actually. Yeah. Very, very crafty player, has good touch. Yeah.
Now, do you think they stick with 3-4-3 against Mexico?
Yeah, I think you have to.
I think if they play 3-4-3 and impose their style of play, it's going to create a lot of problems for Mexico.
Yeah, and I think they need to do the same thing they did with the USA and try to have possession of the ball and keep Mexico away from the ball. Get them frustrated, you know, like they don't have the ball too much, and they need to counter quick, and they need to be, you know, very precise in their attacks. Real quick, because we don't have too much time.
Balls they get in the box, they got to put it in.
What is your prediction for the game?
I have to be biased. Mexico 2-1.
I'm gonna go Panama 2-1, to be honest with you. Although I think this game is gonna have a lot of polemica, you know, like a lot of controversial things.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a 50-50 game, very aggressive, a lot of stupid fouls being called by the ref.
Yeah.
And maybe a red card or two.
Possibly.
But for today, all the time we have. We'll see you guys after the final, and then we'll see what happens.
Let us know what y'all think about the game or the predictions of the game in the comments.
Let us know in the comments.
Deuce.
Peace.